All right, welcome back for part two of our NFL predictions on this NFL predictions week. Welcome to the Key and the Prez show. And we're going to be doing the North division, the AFC North and the NFC North, our division predictions for how those teams are going to finish. So let's get right into it. We're going to start with the AFC North. And the AFC North in fourth, going 8-9. Yes, I have a team with a losing record. I know all four teams had winning records last year. Not going to happen this year. I got the Cleveland Browns going 8-9. They kept four quarterbacks on their roster this week, and that's probably because they don't trust Deshaun. They don't trust Jameis. I don't know if they trust anybody. And there's no Joe Flacco on this roster to rescue them and lead them to 11 wins again. I think their offensive line is a little worse. I think they're going to miss Nick Chubb, obviously. I think Jerry Jeudy is still going to be Jerry Jeudy. I do think they have still a good defense in some ways. I just think it's a really tough division, and I don't think they have quarterback figured out. So I have the Browns in fourth at 8-9.
Okay, at fourth for me is the Pittsburgh Steelers, going 9-8.
Okay.
I think the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they had a good off season overall, and I think the only big thing going against them being good this year is the quarterback situation. But I don't think it was that much worse than last year. Kenny Pickett wasn't really that good, and he was injured. So I think Russell Wilson isn't that great, but Justin Fields has maybe some potential. But the Steelers, I think they have a pretty good roster, a good defense, and the offensive line should be improved this year. And I do think that Mike Tomlin will keep his record of not having a losing record in season. So I have the Steelers coming in fourth.
Okay. All right. My third place team is the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I have them finishing 8-9. So sadly, the record falls. Tomlin has overachieved, and maybe the Steelers will invest in a quarterback. Maybe they'll go get Dak, since the Cowboys don't seem to want to pay him. I don't know what they'll do, but I think Pittsburgh's going to have a top 5 defense. I think if TJ stays healthy, if Mika stays healthy, their defense is phenomenal. Their offense is just going to be problematic. Now, they do have Arthur Smith. If they can find a way to run the ball really consistently and not turn it over, which is what I think Tomlin wants to do, I think they'll win some football games. I think they'll finish around 500 again, just because their defense is going to carry them. But their division is very, very tough. Their schedule is very, very tough. Those are two factors. That's why I have them finishing third at 8-9.
Okay, at third for me is the Cleveland Browns with a 10-7 record.
Okay.
They finished, I think, 11-6 last year, and came second in the division. But I don't think they're going to be able to get that this year. They will hopefully get Nick Chubb for more of the year, and the quarterback situation still isn't great. But I think they haven't really changed enough to get that different of a record. So I think they will still stay around this record, I guess. So I have them at 10-7.
Okay. All right. Number 2 for me is Cincinnati Bengals, and this just really comes down to Joe Burrow's health. If you look at the record of when Joe Burrow plays versus when he doesn't, what the Bengals do. There's two different teams. And the problem is, the scary thing for me is, what's the deal with Joe Burrow's wrist? Can't practice for 3 days in a row? That's not a good sign. Also, there's a Jamar Chase thing. A coach came out and said, hey, yes, he's going to be back there in week 1. Maybe not. Who knows? They haven't paid him. As we know, the Bengals historically are a cheap franchise. They don't have the best facilities. They don't pay. They did pay Joe Burrow, so ask them to pay another superstar. Not sure that's going to happen. Obviously, they don't want to pay T. Higgins. So, scary times in Cincinnati. But, when healthy, they play well. The defense always overachieves. And if Joe Burrow is healthy and Jamar Chase is in the building, they are contenders. Um, I don't know. I don't think they have a great running back situation. Offensive line supposed to be better. Defense is getting a little older. So I'm a little scared of what to happen to them. So I'm going to put Cincinnati 10-7 in second place in the AFC North.
I also have Cincinnati second with a 10-7 record. I think, well, last year they were fourth in the division, but they still had a 9-8 record. So this year I have them going 10-7, but getting the tiebreaker over the Cleveland Browns. I think if Joe Burrow stays healthy, they could maybe win even more games than this, with an offense that will hopefully be very good at passing the ball. But if they don't, it might not be so great. But I don't think they're going to be able to do enough this year. So I think they will be second. But if they can just get better and stay healthy, then I think they could get back into the conversation for winning this division. So I have them at second.
All right, that leaves my number one team is the defending AFC North champion, the Baltimore Ravens. A lot of change in this roster. Obviously, losing Mike McDonald, your defensive coordinator hurts. Losing Geno Stone, losing Patrick McQueen. Losing some players. Obviously, you lost some offensive linemen. There's some depth there they lost, but they added Derrick Henry. I don't think they're going to be as dominant as they were last year. I don't think they're going to be a 13-win team this year. I think that they're all going to falter a little bit with the changes. Defense won't maybe be as outstanding as it was last year, and they drop a couple games in there. It's a tighter race, and I think they finish with 11 wins. But I think Lamar is still dynamic enough. I think John Harbaugh is still a good enough coach for them to win this division even with the changes, and I have them finishing first.
I also have the Ravens finishing first with an 11-6 record. I do think the loss of Mike McDonald will affect them, but they do have some young pieces on the defense that I think could make up for the loss a little bit. Nate Wiggins is very good in coverage, and I think he could help a lot, and Trent Simpson could fill the role of Patrick Queen, hopefully. So the defense could still be good enough, but the offense, I think, will hopefully be a reason why they win the games. Lamar Jackson could have another great year like he had last year. And with Derrick Henry, hopefully they can continue to run the ball really efficiently. So I think they will be able to win games this season, but I don't think they're going to be able to get back to 13-4. So I have the Ravens finishing first, but only by one win with an 11-6 record.
Okay, so that's the AFC North. Now to the NFC North, both very competitive divisions. But we'll go to NFC North. We'll go fourth in the NFC North. I have the Minnesota Vikings going 6-11. The loss of J.J. McCarthy, while hurtful, I don't think changed the outcome of this team too much. I feel like he would have had some growing pains being a first-year quarterback. He did look decent in parts of preseason. I think Sam Darnold will fill in nicely, and that's fine. I think their defense will continue to overachieve under Brian Flores. I just feel like this is a really, really tough division, and the three teams above them are better at the quarterback position. better on the offense and defensive lines than Minnesota is. And this is just a question of how are they going to fare against the rest of the division. It's not going to be good. Uh, so I have the Minnesota Vikings going 6-11. I think they will play tough. I think they will play frisky. Kevin O'Connell has proven to be a good head coach and can squeeze a lot out of unproven quarterbacks. But I just don't think it's the answer yet. But I do think in the next couple of years we're going to see with JJ McCarthy's development a turn up in the franchise for the Vikings. But just not this year.
Hmm. Yeah, I have the Vikings going 7-10, with the same record that they had last year,
Hmm.
but finishing fourth. I think they had a really great offseason overall, except for some really bad injuries.
Hmm.
Uh, but I think this defense, Brian Flores could um, continue to overachieve, uh, but it doesn't. Still, they don't really have a great defensive line, and they don't really have any solidified great cornerbacks. So I think it's going to be pretty easy to score against them. But the offense, still with Sam Darnold, who should be okay, it just doesn't seem like they aren't going to be able to do that much. I think they could just win a few random games like they have the last few years. So I have them going 7-10, but I still think they will finish fourth in the division.
Okay, next up in third place, going 10-7, which is crazy to say, the Chicago Bears. Now everybody's focused on how good this Chicago offense is. You know, they bring in Keenan Allen, they sign, they draft Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze. They've established an offensive line. They're going to be great on offense, but the key for this team and their change and the turnaround for me is their defense. I think the defense really played well down the stretch, enabled them to win some of those games. They were competitive against Detroit last year. I think this defense is going to be what we're talking about for this team. I think the offense will come along slowly. I think Caleb Williams will slowly develop. Unfortunately, he has Shane Waldron as his OC. Being a Seattle fan, we know that Dave Canales was the real reason Geno flourished and not necessarily Shane. So I'm not super excited for that for his development as far as an OC, and I feel like this offense, there's a lot of mouths to feed at a receiver position. You're going to make a lot of people happy. But I think the Bears are going to improve. I think they're going to be fun to watch, but the defense is going to carry them to the number 3 spot and be 10-7 in the NFC North.
I have the Chicago Bears going third, but only with an 8-9 record. I think they will improve a lot this year. They're great at receiver, and Cole Kmet's great at tight end, and Caleb Williams will probably be really good in his rookie year. I just don't know how the defense is going to be. Jalen Johnson is great, but I don't think it's a really great defense. So I think in a tough division, they're going to lose a decent amount of games. I think their offense will be good. I don't know how great the run game is going to be, but the Bears, they will improve a lot. I could see them potentially, I think, overachieving and going 10-7, but I think that's going to be really difficult for them. So I have them going 8-9.
All right. Second place, the Green Bay Packers. Very young team. I think one of the youngest teams in the league. Jordan Love looked great. The second half of the season really came together, made that deep playoff run. Should have beat the 49ers. I think a lot of people are picking them to do well, and I understand why. The big question mark for me is not offensively. I think Jordan Love's going to continue to improve. Obviously, the young receivers are going to continue to improve. The Josh Jacobs signing, huge. The defense, new defensive coordinator. It's going to be a question mark for them in this division. There's a lot of team. There's a lot of firepower. So how are they going to fare? That's why I have them finishing second. I don't think they're quite there yet to win the division, but I do think they'll be good. And I have them make the playoffs at 11-6 for the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I also have the Green Bay Packers going second with an 11-6 record. I think they will be good, and they have a lot of great players. Jordan Love is great. They've got pretty good offensive line, a good young receiver rotation. In the defense, they really tried to target in the draft and the off season. So this team is really young, and I think it is. I don't know if it is going to be all there for the defense in this year. So I think some teams will be able to beat them. I don't think they will be able to get as many wins as the number one team. So I have the Packers second.
All right, my number one pick, maybe the best roster in the NFC, and that is the Detroit Lions. Maybe 49ers really have a good roster. But, yes, for now. But as far as offensive line goes, I think the Lions are up there, maybe one or two best offensive line. Their weapons, they need a number 2 receiver. Questioning if Jameson Williams will be that guy or not. But Sam Laporta's great at tight end. Obviously, 2 great running backs. And what they did in the offseason as far as targeting their defense, bringing in DJ Reader to help on that defensive line where run defense was a problem, really addressing the cornerback position and going after corners. I think they did a lot. They found their weaknesses. They strengthened this team. This roster is better than a team that almost went to the Super Bowl last year. So I have them winning this division, going 12-5, top seed, making a deep run. Number 1, it's the Detroit Lions.
Yeah. I also have the Lions going 12-5 and winning the division and making the playoffs. And I do think they could be a potential Super Bowl team this year. I think they have a really good offense. Of course, their offensive line is great. Amon-Ra St. Brown is great. They have Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, and Jared Goff is good. And their offense will continue to be great. And they really address the defense. I think Terrion Arnold will be great as a rookie, and Carlton Davis and Ennis Rakestraw. And they worked on the defensive line, and I don't think they have that many holes now. And I think it's going to be very difficult to beat this team. It's going to be difficult to play against their offense. It's going to be difficult to overwhelm their defense. So I think they will win this division, but it will be kind of close. So I have them going 12-5.
Alrighty. Those were our AFC and NFC North predictions. We'll be back with the East and the South divisions. Thanks for watching.